So Ed, the theme of MIXX this year is Fueling Interactive Advertising's Creative Revolution. What does creativity and interactive mean to you?
Well, at ESPN, we're fortunate that sports provides this wonderful canvas for us to be able to work with advertisers and agencies, as well as our own creative people, to think about how you can truly get creativity into the advertising experience. So for us, to a large degree, it's very much so how we can have fans enjoy the game or the coverage of the game in ways that make them better fans. And I think as advertisers get involved with that, we find that it gives us a chance to add more value to the advertiser experience, the fan experience, and then to our business.
In recent years, there's been a lot of talk about how the roles of marketers, agencies, and media companies has changed and in many instances even merged. How has this change impacted your job?
Well, it's a great question. There is no question that this is something that's evolving as we speak. I think now we find that we're looking for the great idea wherever it comes from. In some cases, it comes from what the marketer's trying to achieve with their campaign. In some cases, it's out of a creative part of an ad agency or the media agency. And in many cases, of course, it also comes from our programming and our production and our content and editorial people at the various versions of ESPN. What we try to do is we try to figure out the right way to blend those ideas together. And where we think we have a unique advantage is that we are agnostic in how we approach the selling of the media. So it isn't television versus internet versus mobile or audio or print. It really is, what's the idea that starts best? A couple of examples of that. We have a great integrated concept that we've done in tandem with marketers at Progressive Insurance. And Progressive Insurance was originally an audio radio advertiser, and we got them involved with a online game that we call the ESPN Streak for the Cash, where people can try to pick 25 consecutive games in a row online. That idea really came out of something that our audio guys originally thought about. They brought it to our digital people. The digital people thought, wow, we can make that a bigger thing online, and then can we bring television in and help television promote it and market it? That idea was brought to the marketer as an original concept. They felt very involved, loved it, wanted to make it a bigger thing. They got their agency connected to it in terms of creating spots for it, but the original idea was a collaboration of, frankly, our radio people and our internet people, with then bringing the client in. So it's a great example of, in my world, how do I bring each one of those constituencies together, not because we're trying to sell Progressive something, but because we have an idea that drives Progressive's business. By the way, there are now 2.5 million people that play the ESPN Streak for the Cash presented by Progressive. That they have access to the database of those people. They're able to market to them. It's driven their sales, their awareness. We've been able to prove that. So it's more than just that it's a good idea, it's an idea that's driving their business.
Can you tell us what you think is most important about MIXX and the IAB's role in the interactive industry?
Well, clearly getting the industry together in this fashion creates the opportunity for new business relationships, for companies to promote and market what makes them different, how do they stand out. I think at the same time there's a lot of thought leadership that goes on in this organization, and I think as the business continues to get horizontal, in the sense that every screen has its place, we're big believers in this notion of best available screen, and that is that sports fans will migrate to wherever the screen is rather than just what the platform is. It's very much so a lifestyle kind of a thing. You're going to spend time in front of your computer when you're in the office, or on your mobile device when you're out and about, or if there's a program or show that you got to watch on a big screen, you're going to do that from a television point of view. This is a place that kind of conversation happens, and that senior people get together and talk about it. That's why we participate. That's why ESPN is a sponsor. That's why we try to participate in the speakers when given the opportunity. So we think what IAB is doing and what MIXX is doing is critical to the future of the business.
What do you think the single most compelling trend is in interactive media today?
Well, I'm sure that most people see the consumer as being in control, as programming for themselves, and I think that that's true. But I also think there's something else that's going on, and that is that while the consumer can program and control to a certain degree the environment that they have across every screen, there's only so much that any one, I think, individual can bring into their kind of brand set. And what I mean by that is there's only so many television networks and shows that you have time and or desire to watch. There's only so many websites that you actually have the time, desire, and interest in, or magazines or radio programs or whatever it might be. So increasingly, that notion of what are those 20 or 25 brands that you absolutely have to have to enjoy your life, to be informed, to be better at your job, to be better at your personal habits and hobbies or whatever, that's something that I think increasingly is going to get more apparent because there's so much choice. What does that ultimately mean? The notion of what an editor is, and the editor is a combination of the consumer and the people that provide the content together. I don't think it's one or the other. I think there is a multiple editor effect that's going to happen going forward, and it's going to be a combination of how technology allows you to do it, and then how many brands can you take in a way that you have the time and the sophistication to really bring their information into how you think, kinds of products you buy, etc.
So what do you think the consumer wants?
I think the consumer is after simplicity. They're after time saving. I think they want their lives to be made better and richer by the media that they consume. But I also think that they want advertising to be better. And that's a big part of, I think, what we've all got to do in this business. The advertising has to be more informative. It has to be more useful. It has to provide more value. It has to be more entertaining. There is no doubt about that. And it has to respect the consumer. I think advertising that's respective works. I think advertising that doesn't respect the consumer has a chance and the opportunity to go the other way.
ESPN has done an extraordinary job of adapting to change in the media world. What is the latest innovation that ESPN is working on that you could share with us?
Well, I think our ability to adapt is driven primarily by the fact that our company's mission is to serve sports fans wherever they are, however they want it, whenever they want it. So we're an organization of people that are sports fans. They're trying to figure out how to serve other sports fans. So it's an interesting kind of dichotomy or a way to go about it. Most recently, we saw an opportunity to create a local digital versions of ESPN in major markets. We launched ESPNChicago.com about 6 weeks ago. It is now the #1 local website for sports in Chicago. This past Monday, as we launched Monday Night Football on ESPN, we launched ESPNBoston.com. In 2 weeks, we'll launch ESPN Dallas.com in conjunction again with our big game down in Dallas with Monday Night Football. So I think the key there is that we have local content that we already create. We do a better job of organizing it. We bring some of the national perspective into it, and allows us to play in a whole new market for us. And by the way, the interesting thing about that innovation was it all started because we have radio stations in those local markets. And those radio stations said there's an opportunity for us to create a digital version of ESPN because the marketplace isn't as well served digitally as we think it could be. So the power of great ideas from all of our people, being able to create content that matters, and then using the power of television to promote the fact that there is something called ESPN Boston or Chicago or Dallas, and soon to come New York and Los Angeles and so on and so forth. So that's one we're all pretty excited about.
That's great. Ed, thank you so much.
Great to be with you.